I started editing my videos. I threw myself into editing a load of videos, and I've got through a shitload of videos in the last few weeks. Well, since I would say the last week in December to the present day. So it's almost I think it's 4 weeks. 4 weeks of editing. About 3 weeks of more intense editing. So basically editing throughout the day, all the way up to the night time, into the evening. So I've got loads of videos that I've edited, and they're ready. They're in a folder now on my external hard drive, and I'm going to be uploaded to YouTube. And if not YouTube, I might have to be a bit careful about what medium I select, knowing that YouTube has certain issues with certain videos, certain types of videos and agendas and all that kind of stuff. So I've got to kind of maybe broaden my horizons in terms of finding somewhere to upload videos to. So a lot of the stuff that I've got, not a lot, but some of the stuff that I've got, some of the material, it won't wash on YouTube. It won't wash with YouTube, and it's likely to be removed. So because I say a lot of stuff that's not quite incendiary, but it certainly exposes certain groups and organisations. So whether that would be okay with YouTube, I don't know. Probably not. But in terms of visual evidence, I mean, it is what it is. It's evidence. So I'm just showing what I experience, and you can't remove that. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just going to show the evidence. So I'm not actually saying nothing in the videos. I'm just showing the evidence and displaying the evidence. So I've got shitloads of evidence of this happening repeatedly every time I go out of the house on bike, etc. Just like every time I see ambulances. Some people have said, "Oh, it's just normal." Well, it's not normal, because I'm talking about every time I go out of the house is not the same time. So all hours. So like I did night cycles. I knew that I would be able to pick up some of this harassment, and that's exactly what happened. So all the cycles I did, there was harassment. There was either sirens sound in the distance or visual captures of emergency vehicles just ahead of me, just passing by me, just ahead of me. And we're talking like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, all hours, 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. So don't try and tell me that's normal. Every time you step out the house, you encounter sirens sounding and emergency vehicles passing by you in close proximity or just off in the distance. So I can upload a shitload of videos that clearly show this. It's not just me saying this stuff, giving accounts, verbal accounts. I'm actually going to show it. I'm going to show the harassment. And so ever since I started the editing, I mean, last year, 2023, from the moment Kerry died, from the moment that message came through that I talk about about his heart attacks, the targeting increased. So there's no question about the blatancy of the attacks and the fact that it's not natural. There's no question of that, because I've got loads of evidence that points to it being external. Loads, too much evidence. And you can't, don't try telling me that as soon as a message comes from Facebook, suddenly, hey ho, all the targeting suddenly increases. So that 2023 was the most diabolical year I've ever experienced for targeting. I've been targeted for several years, but this was just diabolical, and it all started happening from the moment Kerry messaged. I got in touch with Kerry. In fact, it all started happening when I started creating my YouTube channel and then started uploading Eric Hecker's videos. There was in some really intense moments as I was uploading the videos. The moment I clicked upload, really diabolical targeting. So that continued all the way throughout 2023. So it soon became clear that there was a gun being held to my head from following this conversation. There was a gun being held to my head because I was making threats that I was going to upload all my evidence, because I was really angry about what happened to Kerry, because I know he'd been murdered. Absolutely no doubt about it. After that, I was really angry. I cancelled my donor agreement after finding that, not long after sorting some boxes out after Kerry died, and I came across that and I thought, well, forget that, I'm cancelling that right away. So I did that. They didn't respond to my emails, but I managed to get through to them on the phone, and I got confirmation of the cancellation, and that was not long after Kerry died, maybe a month or so. And then there was the helicopter harassment, intimidation, more intimidation than the harassment. Because I mean, it's hard to be harassed by something that's thousands of feet up into the air, but it's certainly intimidation what they were doing with the helicopters. And this was like 3 or 4 times in a week of going out cycling to my mum's almost every day, every 1 o'clock between the hours of 12 and 2. Don't matter what time I went out, whether it's 12, whether it's 1, whether it's 2, there'd always be that helicopter there. So it was circling very close to my mum's, hovering right over my mother's house. There was also another one that was hovering, that I noticed hovering over Hayward, just a light in the sky, and I thought at first it was a star, but then I thought, no, it's not a star. So I filmed that, and it was hovering pretty much over Hayward, and that was where Kerry was born. Kerry was brought up, and that's where he was raised, in Hayward, and that's where the house that was sold and all the inheritance money he was going to get from that sale that he was due, that was that same house that he grew up in. So that light in the sky turned out to be a helicopter, and then I started flashing my torch. And this is no bullshit. I started flashing my torch, and it's not a really bright torch, a little shitty torch. It wasn't the bright light I have now. You can hardly see it from a distance, but they seem to respond to it. And I flashed the torch, and then suddenly some light started flashing on the helicopter, and I then knew it was a helicopter because at first it was just a light. And so I flashed my light to see if we could get a response. So what happened? I got a response. So auxiliary, oh my god, auxiliary light started flashing on the helicopter within seconds, and then it starts flying across towards me. And I thought, I don't believe this. I actually don't believe that it's responding to me flashing my light. And then suddenly it starts flying right towards me, and then it just flies directly over my mother's house. So it goes from Hayward, where my cousin brought up and raised, and it comes right across, close to me, right, almost as if it's towards me, and then kind of like veers off a little bit and flies directly over my mother's house. And then there's the other instance, not long after, maybe a day or 2 after, where the helicopter's circling round and round above the pub where the ambulance turned off on the day Kerry died. Literally above that pub, but very high up in the sky, just doing a circle around that area. I then cycle on to my mother's house, and when I come back, I'm looking for the helicopter in the sky. I don't see it at first, and then I hear it, and I think, well, it's still there, where is it? And then I spot it in the sky, but now, it's now doing opposite circles from what it had originally been doing. Now explain that. It's actually deliberately gone in the opposite direction. Now I'm cycling back home. Almost like mimicking what I'm doing. So I'm going outward, and then I'm returning, and then it's changed its route. It's gone in the opposite direction. Now, for it to do that, you imagine what kind of maneuver it has to make to do that. What's the point? What's the point in changing direction? That makes no sense. But yet that's what happened, and I've got footage of that. I've got evidence. I'm not just talking about this stuff. I've got evidence to back it up. So ever since I started editing my videos, I've had a gun held to my head. But yet this isn't real. This isn't your typical. This isn't an ordinary gun. This is a gun that's not visible, and its bullets are not visible. So this is the situation I'm in now, and this is why I'm uploading my stuff, because some of the targeting has been almost like, yeah, we're gonna give you a heart attack. That's the message I'm getting from what's happening. I'm talking about blatant responsive targeting that's just diabolical. It's that resembles a heart attack, but in a fraction of a second, and then dissipates. It's a pulse weapon. I don't know the details. I know what I'm talking about. Eric Hecker knows what I'm talking about. Dr. John Hall knows what I'm talking about, and there are many other people who are clued up on this kind of thing, know what I'm talking about. That this weapon's real, and if you think that it's just going to be used on, if it's reserved for VIP people, then forget about it. That this weapon was used on my cousin. I have no doubt about it, no doubt about it whatsoever. And so you know, why all the harassment from emergency vehicles if that's not the case? They're obviously panicking because I've made the threat that I'm going to upload my videos to YouTube, and now I'm getting this response, getting all the harassment suddenly. There's a quiet period for a long time. And now suddenly, every time I make these threats and start being proactive in terms of what I'm doing, editing videos, suddenly it steps up and I experience weird shit that's going on outside. As soon as I step out the front door, you get vehicles revving their engines really aggressively, just going by, timing it right bang on as soon as I come out the door. Got evidence of this as well. Loads of evidence of this. Almost 900 gigabytes of evidence. It's all on my external hard drive. Just shitloads of evidence. And that's that evidence I am now editing. That's what I started editing at the tail end of December. In earnest, I started. It's like 5 terabytes, and I'm basically running out of storage space. It's that crammed with evidence. A lot of it, to be fair, it's divided up between my ancient Earth research, which is the current stuff I'm working on, and also a lot of the stuff that I've already worked on and has just been saved to my external hard drive. So in both cases, where it's targeting all my research, it's over 2 terabytes in both instances. Definitely a gun's been held to my head, except yeah, it's not a visible gun. It's not visible. Projectiles are not visible. It's not a bullet. It's something entirely different. This is modern age weaponry, where it's not visible, and they can use it surreptitiously and covertly, and they can't be accountable. So yeah, you can go and find a person who's killed someone with a gun. That's easy. That's no problem. You can find them within a matter of moments, or you can find them within a day, or you've got the evidence of the bullets. You can always find evidence from forensics, and they're eventually going to catch the person who killed the other person with the gun or the weapon. With this, it's entirely different. It's an entirely different scenario, and you cannot be accountable with this weapon. So it's basically, you can go around killing who the fuck you want. You can go around killing and knocking off whoever the fuck you want, and God knows what's connected to this weapon in terms of people taking out policies on people, etc. It can be used for any number of reasons. And who's got this weapon? I'm not going to actually specify who I know has this weapon. I mean, I can't. There's no badge that says, "Oh, it's us." But certainly, I can gauge through the response I get every time I make threats to edit my videos, and what's happening when I'm editing the videos, and then I tally that up with what's happening when I step out the front door and what I see out the front door and experience. Well, put 2 and 2 together. Pretty simple, really. So, I'm not going to actually name who I believe has this weapon, but you might be surprised, you might not be surprised. But if you think certain organisations are there to help us, then yeah, that's the case. But there's also dark, covert, sinister sides to almost every organisation, and these particular organisations, there's a much darker side. If you don't believe me, do the research. If you've got this really kind of fairy tale impression of the Florence Nightingale kind of impression in your mind on a certain organisation, that well check out, just look into the body parts controversy, where parents weren't even aware that body parts of their children and their dead children, their deceased children, were being kept in storage without their consent. And then it was found out that this was happening, and no consent was given from any of these parents. It's just one example, but I'm not actually implying that this organisation is responsible by any means, and I'm not going to name names. And that's purely because I don't want, I want the video to remain on YouTube. So I might be implying, but I'm not specifying. That's just one example of corruption. I haven't named the organisation, but all I'm saying is there was a case. I mean, this is just one case. Just one example where body parts were kept without consent of deceased children, and parents had not given their consent, and then it was only discovered many years later that this was going on, this was happening. So, can you imagine no consent given, and yet you think your child's buried underground and had a nice burial or whatever, and it turns out no, she or he's in a hospital. They've been laying in a hospital for years and years. I mean, I don't know the circumstances exactly, but I imagine it's something close to that. Well, if you don't think that's sinister, if you don't think that's dark, Right now, I've got a gun held to my head, and I'm not joking. I'm being deadly serious. I'm being deadly serious. I can't really emphasize it because it's very difficult to convey over a recording and on a video just what's going on right now. But I can honestly say that this weapon is being used on me, not to its max. So if you imagine there's different type of bullets that can take you out in one shot, like a sniper bullet, or there's a bullet that can, a rubber bullet. Let's just say, for example, they're using rubber bullets on me right now. But we're not talking about a visible weapon, and we're not talking about visible projectiles. But right now, they're using rubber bullets on me in a very, very threatening way.